Tonight, you will say thousands of words. You will text, type, argue, explain, laugh out loud, and whisper. You will use language so effortlessly that it feels like breathing. But here is the thing that should stop you cold. For most of human history, none of that existed. Not one word, not one syllable, not one name. And yet your ancestors survived. They hunted. They grieved. They warned each other. They built communities that lasted for generations, all of it, without a single word. So, what did they actually sound like? Close your eyes for a second. Imagine a world with no language, no words for danger, no words for food, no words for help. Just bodies, just faces, just sound. That world was not silent. It was loud in ways you have never heard. And the real answer to what ancient humans sounded like is far stranger than you think. Your brain is roughly 300,000 years old in its modern form. But language, true structured language with grammar and syntax and meaning, is estimated to be somewhere between 50,000 and 100,000 years old. That means for more than 200,000 years. A brain, almost identical to yours, existed in a body that could not say a single word. Think about that. Your ancestors carried the full weight of human emotion, fear, joy, grief, desire, with no words to express any of it. So they found other ways. And those ways were not primitive. They were precise. They were layered. They were, in many ways, more honest than anything words have ever managed to say. The first thing those ancient humans used was the body. Not gesture in the way you wave hello. Something deeper. Something hardwired. Anthropologist Michael Tomasello at the Max Planck Institute spent decades studying how great apes and human children communicate before language develops. What he found is that pointing, a gesture so simple you do it without thinking, is actually one of the most sophisticated acts in the animal kingdom. Chimpanzees almost never point to share information with others. They point to get what they want. But human infants, before they can speak a single word, point to show you something interesting. Just to share the experience. That distinction, pointing to connect rather than to demand, may be the oldest uniquely human act in existence. It is the first sign that your ancestors were not just surviving together. They were thinking together. Before words, your ancestors were masters of the face. Every eyebrow raise, every lip press, every widened eye. Paul Ekman, a psychologist who spent his career cataloging human facial expressions, identified 6 basic emotions that are recognized across every culture on Earth, including cultures that had never encountered the outside world. Fear, anger, disgust, happiness, sadness, surprise. These are not learned. They are not cultural. They are biological. They are written into your face the same way they were written into the face of a human standing in a cave 150,000 years ago. When your ancestors' eyes went wide and their nostrils flared, everyone around them understood immediately. Something is wrong. Run. That signal needed no translation. It still does not. You are still running that same software on the same hardware every single day. But the body was only part of it. The sounds came next, and this is where it gets genuinely strange. Before language, ancient humans produced what researchers call proto-language, not words, not sentences, but structured sound used to communicate meaning. Think of it like music with intention. Rhythmic grunts that meant one thing in a low tone and something entirely different in a high tone. Clicks, hisses, whistles, percussive sounds made by slapping the chest or the ground. Some researchers believe these sounds carried emotional information the way a musical key carries mood. A rising tone meant something was approaching. A falling tone meant it had passed. A sharp, sudden burst meant stop moving right now. Do not breathe. Do not make a sound. The message was complete, delivered in under a second, no words required. Dean Falk, a paleoneurologist at Florida State University, proposed something remarkable in her research on early human communication. She called it the putting the baby down hypothesis. As early humans began walking upright, their hands became occupied with tools and tasks. A man carrying a spear could no longer hold his child constantly. So early humans began using sound to maintain connection across distance. Soft, rhythmic, melodic vocalization. Not words, not even proto-words, just a voice saying, "I am here. You are safe." This is how Falk believes motherese, the sing-song way adults instinctively talk to infants even today, may be one of the oldest forms of human communication on the planet. That sound you hear when someone tries to calm a crying child, that low melodic hum, that rising and falling tone, it is ancient. It existed before your species had a name for itself, before it had a name for anything. And then there was touch. Do not underestimate touch. Before language, physical contact was not casual. It was essential. Primatologist Robin Dunbar at Oxford University studied grooming behavior in primates and found that social touch, the act of physical contact between members of a group, served a purpose far beyond comfort. It regulated relationships. It established trust. It communicated loyalty and alliance in a way no sound could fully replicate. Early humans carried this behavior into their own social lives. A hand placed firmly on the shoulder of a man who had just lost someone. A grip locked tight in a moment of collective fear. These were not affectionate extras, they were the primary language of belonging. Your skin still remembers this. When someone touches your arm during a moment of stress, your cortisol levels drop. That response is not modern. That response is ancient. Your nervous system was built to receive that signal long before your ears were built to understand words. Now here is the part that nobody tells you. You have never actually stopped communicating this way. Right now, your face is doing things you are completely unaware of. Your posture is broadcasting information to everyone around you. The speed of your breath is telling your nervous system a story. The tone you use when you say the word fine tells the people around you everything they need to know, regardless of what the word itself means. You think you communicate with language. But research consistently shows that the majority of emotional meaning in human communication is carried not by the words themselves, but by tone, pace, facial expression, and body position. The words are the newest layer. Everything underneath them is ancient, and the ancient layer does not lie the way words can. Think of the last time you walked into a room and immediately felt something was wrong. No one said anything, no obvious signal, just a feeling that landed in your chest before your brain had a chance to explain it. That is not intuition in some mystical sense. That is your brain running a scan that evolved over hundreds of thousands of years. Reading micro-expressions that last less than a fifth of a second. Reading the subtle shift in someone's posture. Reading the slight elevation in the pitch of a voice. Reading the room the way your ancestors read the open plain. Silent, fast, accurate enough to keep you alive. So what did ancient humans actually sound like? They sounded like warning. They sounded like comfort. They sounded like rhythm and breath and the low vibration of a voice in the dark saying something close to "I am here" and "you are not alone." They sounded like the grunt a body makes when lifting something beyond its limit, like the sharp involuntary gasp that escapes before the mind can catch it, like a group of men falling into a shared rhythm during hard collective work without ever deciding to, bodies synchronizing through sound before a single decision is made. That sound is not new. It is as old as the species itself. Tonight, when you say goodbye to someone, notice what happens in the moment just before the words leave your mouth. Notice the look that crosses your face. Notice where your hands move. Notice what your body communicates before your mouth has the chance to catch up. That moment, the fraction of a second before language takes over, that is the oldest version of you. That is the human that walked this earth for 200,000 years before a single word existed. And it turns out, that human had everything to say. You just stopped listening to it. There is one more piece to this that most people never consider. Rhythm. Before melody, before music, before organized sound, there was rhythm. And rhythm may have been the very first shared language your ancestors ever had. Researchers studying hunter-gatherer communities that still exist today have found something consistent across every single one of them. Communal drumming. Communal clapping. Bodies moving in synchronized patterns around a fire. This is not entertainment in the modern sense. This is biology expressing itself. When bodies move together in rhythm, the brain releases oxytocin, the same chemical released during bonding, during the deep recognition that the person beside you is not a threat. Ancient men sitting around a fire, beating a rhythm into the earth with their hands, were not making music. They were making alliance. They were saying, without any words at all, we are the same. We move together. We survive together. And that rhythm is still inside you. You feel it when a song locks into something deep in your chest, when you are walking beside someone and your footsteps fall into sync without either of you noticing. That synchrony is ancient communication. Your body knows how to read it. Long before the first word was ever spoken, rhythm was the proof that you belonged somewhere, that you were part of something, that you were not alone in the dark. So the next time someone asks what humans sounded like before language existed, the answer is not silence. The answer is everything that words have never quite been able to say.